It's a dinosaur. Oh, not just dinosaurs. We have creatures from the deep. We have radioactive alpha predators from millions of years ago.
What, like Godzilla? You're saying you have Godzilla?
Yes.
Say that again.
We have Godzilla.
Oh. Alan, breathe.
From the city of Bradford, my dear listeners, welcome to the Fandomain.
Hello, this is Monday the 16th of March 2015 and you're listening to a second monster-filled edition of the Fandomain. Now, what you're about to hear is the remains of the Kaiju Kraziness I recorded back in December, but in true Kaiju style, it was just too big. So, here's the remainder of what I recorded back in December. Speaking of Godzilla, we've got sequel excitement coming. You know, the news has been around for a while, but the Fandomain hasn't, so we have to mention. At San Diego Comic-Con earlier this year, the next installment of the Godzilla franchise, it's going to be a franchise. No question about it. It is a franchise already. Just one movie and multiple toy lines coming out of it. Yeah, it's a franchise. Yeah. Godzilla sequel excitement. Oh, because some of the other classic Toho monsters are coming, because they showed this footage at Comic-Con, and it was something that made it look like it was made in the 60s, and the idea is that there are others out there, and we sort of knew there'd be others out there because of the other monsters referenced in the first film, but we're getting some of the classics updated. We're getting Rodan, the massive pterodactyl-like monster. We're getting Mothra, who obviously is exactly as it sounds, a giant moth, and we're getting King Ghidorah, the three-headed dragon, which is interesting to me because apparently in the footage they showed, when the text came up, it just said codename Ghidorah, not King Ghidorah. Now, at the end of the first Godzilla movie, he was labelled by the media as King of the Monsters. So, the fact that Ghidorah is just Ghidorah, does that mean Ghidorah will defeat Godzilla in the upcoming movies and take the title of King of the Monsters, and the media will label him King Ghidorah? See, that sounds like something that would happen at the end of the second film. And then, of course, in the third film, Godzilla would reclaim the title somehow, of course. So, yeah. Another thing I find fascinating with King Ghidorah is that, as it always is with the design, like I say, three-headed dragon with two wings and two legs and a massive tail, but no arms. So I haven't seen any of the classic Toho pictures with King Ghidorah, but to me, he only ever seems to walk on his legs. So will they update him for the new Legendary sequel by making his wings function as arms as well? Because a creature that size, he's bigger than Godzilla. A creature of that size, surely, he can't just support himself on his legs. This is based on logic here, because he's such an immense creature. We know Godzilla can do that because he is such literally a massive creature, and he stands upright. So, but with King Ghidorah, I would actually prefer to see the wings function as arms as well, like the old prehistoric creatures like pterodactyl, ornithochirus, etc., and bats as well. So, yeah, hopefully that's the direction they'll take with King Ghidorah, because there'll be so much weight on him. If we look at this as if he was a real creature, they did that with Godzilla. So, if we look at King Ghidorah as if he was an actual creature, the weight of his upper body, the weight of the three massive necks with the heads and the ginormous wings as well, I don't think he'll be able to support himself. Just on two legs, even with a tail counterbalancing him. So yeah, it might annoy some of the more dedicated Toho fans, but hopefully they'll be blessed by moments where he's flying or where he's on the ground and he suddenly starts creating huge hurricane-force winds with his wings, because he would do, and that's what he does, and he does that so much that he manages to keep himself upright just by flapping his wings, something like that, If they do go with this supporting on wings as arms technique, that'd be good, be a visual treat. And since we're on Kaiju, we've got to mention the latest Pacific Rim 2 details, because Pacific Rim has to be one of my favourite movies from 2013, no doubt, no question. Pacific Rim 2 plus an animated prequel series were both announced by Guillermo del Toro himself, and hopefully with the animated series we'll be able to see Cherno Alpha and Crimson Typhoon, the Russian and Chinese Jaegers respectively. Hopefully we'll be able to see them a lot more in the prequel series, because they had such a short amount of screen time. I'd say it's depressing, but they got the moment in the spotlight, however short it was, but it was not enough, because design-wise, visually, they were probably the two most distinctive Jaegers, because Cherno Alpha's the green beer moth that's built like a tank, and it looks like it's got a Mr. Fusion on his head. Crimson Typhoon's the red Chinese, triple-armed with raptor-type legs, and they're just look incredible. And my favourite thing about seeing those two Jaegers in the movie when the battle against Itachi and Leatherback started is seeing them at night time when they were walking around in the bay, and they're all lit up. I just love that. Yeah, because it just added so much visual punch to visual flavour. So yeah, and with more recent announcements, Del Toro has kept teasing us and feeding us with little bits of details in every interview that's appeared every so often about Pacific Rim 2. And I think one of the more recent ones is that the scientists Herman Gottlieb and Newton Geisler, they're returning, played by Charlie Day and Bern Gorman, and they were the comic relief from the first movie. I'm happy that they're returning, because spoiler alert, because they've drifted with the kaiju by the end of it. Does that mean that the Antiverse will have more of a focus, when they come to attack? Will they have learnt more about human culture just from them two, and the ideas and all the plans and all the experiments that they've done and on the other kaiju, and the masters in the Antiverse could they could have potentially learned quite a bit about what we've learnt about them as well. So it's interesting, and I'm not too bothered if they don't get a larger part in the sequel, but as long as they're in it, and as long as they get developed naturally from the first one, then, and they get at least an equal amount of screen time that they did do in the first one, then, yeah, I'll be happy. And all this talk of monsters, Godzilla, Pacific Rim, Jurassic World, all licenses from Legendary Pictures. And another thing that Legendary is coming up with quite soon in the next few years is Skull Island, which is technically a King Kong prequel. So it's exciting to see, because of all these licenses together, the possibility of a crossover, or the fact that they could all be in the same universe, because it's not difficult, because Skull Island is in the Atlantic Ocean, Isla Nublar, Isla Sorna from the Jurassic Park movies, they are in the Pacific Ocean. And then Godzilla and Pacific Rim, they could sort of cross over, but they'd have to work some writing magic into that to make them mesh. Because the head of Legendary, Thomas Tull, he's in charge of all this. And I've said this to a few people. He is basically the Kevin Feige of monster movies at the moment. Because he seems like he's orchestrating all these big creature features, which is awesome. Because Kevin Feige, he's orchestrated all these Marvel pictures to culminate in the Avengers and beyond, and they've got plans for the next decade or something ridiculous. But Thomas Tull looks like he's doing this for these Legendary monster movies. So hopefully there could be something there. I mean, even if we don't get Jurassic Park meets King Kong, we could easily see Godzilla meets King Kong. And technically that'd be a remake, because that already happened in the 60s. East meets West, blah de blah. This should be fun. But yeah, all sorts of exciting stuff to look forward to from Legendary.
This is a test of the Kaiju emergency broadcast system. In the case of an actual Kaiju attack, the tone you just heard will be followed by instructions. Repeat, this is only a test. We now return you to the Fandomain.
Alright, we're going to go to a break now. So here's Les Freaks by Chic, as featured in Super 8. And we're back to March 2015. Now in this section we're just going to have a look at some things that have happened since December. And we're going to start with Pacific Rim 2. The writer Zach Penn has revealed in an interview that The sequel will focus on Kaiju origins, which is quite interesting to Pacific Rim fans, I would be sure. Guillermo del Toro has indicated that the sequel will sort of build upon the Everywhere shape and form, but the fact that it's going to feature more... But the fact that it's going to explore kaiju origins sounds like it's going to be taken into prequel territory. But like anything, we'll have to wait and see. It does, however, indicate why the scientists Geisler and Gottlieb will be returning, and why they'll be providing such an important part, as they've got as much kaiju memory as they can muster from their drifting. So, but yeah, that should be interesting. We'll have to wait to hear from more details. But for now, speaking of origins, the Skull Island film, which is now called Kong Skull Island, will be more or less an origin story for King Kong, and it'll be set in the 70s as well, which is interesting because the first reboot of King Kong, the first remake of King Kong, was made in 77, I think, and instead of the Empire State Building, he climbed up the World Trade Center. So I wonder if it's a reference to that, but if not, it's definitely saying, it's set in the 70s for a specific reason, but like anything, we'll have to wait and see. But and in this case, we'll have to wait and see what that specific reason is. Hopefully there is a big specific reason. But with as far as casting goes, we have J.K. Simmons, Michael Keaton, and Tom Hiddleston, a very impressive triad. No actresses confirmed at the moment, which is a bit of a bummer, but considering who we've got here, J. Jonah Jameson, Batman, and Loki, it sounds like they're grabbing as much big talent as possible, and of course Tom Hiddleston has already been doing something for Legendary at the moment with Crimson Peak by Del Toro, so... But with Skull Island, it'll also be written by Max Borenstein, who wrote Godzilla. It sounds like Legendary must like Max Borenstein. You know what? I liked him too. If you go into his Twitter, it's a bit like Pacific Rim writer Travis Beacham and original Prometheus writer John Spates, because they tend to offer little nuggets of inspiration and advice for writing and stuff. So definitely worth following if you do creative writing. But speaking of Godzilla, it seems like Toho has been inspired by the success of 2014's Godzilla, because a new Toho Godzilla film is coming. Extremely exciting for Japanese Godzilla fans, I am sure. Their last Godzilla film was in 2004, which is the 50th Godzilla anniversary, and that was like the thing that said, right, we're winding down now. And to them, that was their pinnacle, and they wound down their operations after that, so to speak. Except, of course, 60th anniversary with the new Hollywood film. But because of the new film, it definitely seems like they've been inspired to do another one of their own. So expect to see another man-in-a-suited Godzilla film soon. But whilst we're on the Japanese origins of Godzilla, if you go to the Toho Theatre in Shinjuku in Japan anytime in the near future, you will see the Hotel Gracery. This is a Godzilla-themed hotel, and I don't just mean it's decorated in Godzilla colours or whatever, or it's shaped like Godzilla. No, this would be like any average hotel, except there's a massive partial statue of Godzilla outside of it. So when you're in your room, or in a particular room, it looks like he's standing outside the window. Or there are Godzilla-themed rooms in it as well, where it's packed full of, statues, merchandise, posters, you name it, everything. So it sounds quite exciting. Unfortunately, I'm not sure when it opens. If you're listening to this on the dedicated Fandomain hub, there'll be a link in the description below. But I definitely want to go. So, but for now, for the future, it looks like some core creative talent from 2014's Godzilla reuniting, because, as we know, Gareth Edwards is making his own Star Wars film at the moment, and it was just revealed yesterday, I think, that in an interview, Alexandre Desplat, I'm assuming that's how you pronounce his name, he will be composing Gareth Edwards' Star Wars film. This to me is incredibly exciting, because not only is Desplat's Godzilla score so heart-pounding and intense and so reminiscent of classical movie scores, but Desplat is such a versatile composer as well. He's such a versatile musician. I mean, he didn't just do 2014's Godzilla, he did The King's Speech as well. He did the Grand Budapest Hotel. His versatility is, it's up there with Alan Silvestri, it's up there with Hans Zimmer, Brian Tyler, lots of others. But so incredibly excited. Incredibly exciting news. Also, whilst we're on Gareth Edwards' Star Wars Rogue One, you may have heard that Felicity Jones has been cast in the lead role. Now, this is an extremely positive move for both Star Wars, for both Disney, Lucasfilm, and Edwards himself. We're not sure who made this move, but the fact that the lead character for a Star Wars film will be a woman is, frankly amazing. And interesting to note that after one of the first viewings of Godzilla, there was a panel afterwards, and Gareth Edwards was asked about the lack of female contribution to the story. Now, if you don't know, the one of the main female characters is only in it for the first 5 minutes, and the only other two major female parts, Elizabeth Olsen, and who does help out as the story goes along, but we don't really focus on her that much, and Sally Hawkins, who's like the assistant to Ken Watanabe. And all props to Sally Hawkins for agreeing to do it, and I really hope she gets a much larger role in the second Godzilla, or both Godzilla sequels. But from this panel, Gareth Edwards was asked about the lack of it and the fact that we need to be shifting away from this sort of thing. And Gareth Edwards basically took that criticism on board as well as he should, and basically said, this is an issue. We should have really looked at this, and this was before the sequels were announced. So he said if there was a sequel, then he would definitely make sure that they have a stronger female presence, and this was obviously before he was signed on to Star Wars. And I'm wondering if that criticism that he took on board was an influence on Star Wars Rogue One. It's very interesting. I hope it did. Of course, Disney itself, Lucasfilm, they've been under a lot of scrutiny these days to get more women in, and we're seeing more brilliant characters like Ahsoka Tano, like Hera and Sabine from Star Wars Rebels. But of course, there's always a few more men involved, so the more women presence in front and behind the camera, the better. And hopefully the decision for Star Wars Rogue One was a combination of Disney, Lucasfilm taking on board their criticisms, as well as Edwards taking on board his criticism as well. So hopefully it was that case, and hopefully it's not just a gimmick. But yeah, should be exciting. Expect to hear more Star Wars stuff in the next episode of the Fandomain, which we recorded 2 weeks ago. Yeah, wibbly wobbly, I know. But yeah, and a final piece of Kaiju news to finish off with. Today, we had the reveal of the first full trailer for Lego Jurassic World, the video game, and I couldn't be more excited for that either, as if you couldn't tell. No, I am super duper hyped, and interesting to note the trailer itself, which if you're listening to this online will be linked down below somewhere on the blog or the YouTube page. Interesting to note the trailer has a heavy focus on the first Jurassic Park, which is sort of expected. So it's not really surprising because obviously that's the more popular one, and we've got the usual brand of toned down seriousness and with some slapstick and a bit of goofiness here and there. But I'm quite glad they showed a little bit from The Lost World. They showed a clip from one of the Lost World levels, and they showed a little clip from the Jurassic Park 3 levels. And because of that, we saw the Spinosaurus, first official image of a Lego Spinosaurus from the Jurassic Park series. Since the Lego Studios Jurassic Park 3 set, back in 2001 or 2. And obviously for me, that's very pleasing. So from what we know about Lego Jurassic World, of course you get to play through all 4 films, which is, expected, like Lego Pirates of the Caribbean when that came out. So far as we know, you don't just get to play as the humans, you get to play as the dinosaurs as well, which is, exciting for me. And you get to play as dinosaurs in and amongst the levels as well. So if there's a blockage that needs clearing, get a Triceratops, control the Triceratops and plough through it, that sort of thing. I think the idea is you get to play as dinosaurs on their own as well, and you get to collect bits of amber with the mosquito, you get to collect DNA and bones and, build up dinosaur skeletons and collect DNA to actually make your own dinosaurs to play with as well, like DNA hybridization. Funnily enough, the big theme of Jurassic World with the Indominus Rex. Now, one big question I want to know, and obviously we'll find out when the game comes out, but one question I want to know is, if you collect the right DNA parts, like a bit of T-Rex, bit of Raptor, bit of Megalosaurus, bit of Carcharodontosaurus, etc., if you collect the right DNA parts and the right DNA combination, will you be able to unlock the Indominus Rex? That's what I want to know. It'd be good if you could, and it'd make complete sense if you could. But if not, that's okay. But I would really hope that would be a case, because Indominus Rex seems like one of these villains, one of these game villains that you really want to play and really need to work at to unlock to be able to play, and hopefully that's the case with it. What else do we know? Oh yeah. Also, in regards to what else we know, there will be over 100 playable characters. I've been trying to rack this up in my head about the amount of playable characters, because obviously you'll have the main cast throughout the 4 films. So I've totted up about so many from each, and I've barely reached 24. And this is discounting the soldiers, park rangers, security staff, general dino fodder. Obviously they'll be in there, like the other Lego games in the past. You've had goons from the superhero ones and army fellas and just general folk, etc. But one of the more out there characters to play will be Mr. DNA. If you don't remember, it's the cartoon character from the first film who should be appearing in Jurassic World. But yeah, he'll be a playable character. Now the potential there is quite interesting, because he'll more or less be a floating mass of studs with eyeballs and a pair of floating hands. Will he be able to control DNA? Will he be able to manipulate DNA? Will he be able to manipulate himself into other shapes and things? Interesting. It's an out there choice for a controllable character, but not wholly surprising, because we've had offbeat choices for playable characters in Lego games of the past, like in Marvel superheroes, Howard the Duck and Squirrel Girl, and in the recent Batman 3 Beyond Gotham, Cyborg's stealth mode is a washing machine or a tumble dryer, and when he moves around, he just hops around in his kitchen appliance. Yeah. But, that's the sort of humour we like. So, anyway, to hear more about game stuff, be sure to listen to Press Play here at BCB Radio. It's either broadcast before or after this one. But if you're listening to this on broadcast, then you'll know already. So, yeah, this has been a Kaiju crazy episode of the Fandomain. I'll say adieu and goodbye. Take it away, Godzilla.
You have been listening to The Fandomain. Your host has been Adam Medalinsky. We hope you can throw sci-fi at the wall with us too. Next time you tune into The Fandomain on BCB Radio 106.6 FM. Tuned into Bradford.